Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It is an amazingly beautiful morning here. We've had a bit of a cold snap, unusual for this time of the year, but certainly not unwelcomed. It was in the mid-50s overnight. That's just crazy for August. But it's going to get hot again. Just in the next couple of days, it'll be back to, panting like a dog during the day. But we're going to enjoy it while we can. The kids, they went outside last night and camped out in the backyard because it was just so nice. And just enjoying the little tease of fall. Oh, so many things going on in the world. I've said this several times here lately, but it gets a little overwhelming of what to talk about. There's just so much stuff. It's hard to, do you focus on the war? Do you focus on the economy? You focus on the social degradation of our society, moral degradation. I don't know anymore, because the thing is it's all kind of wrapped in on itself. It's all connected. It's all a sign that we are collapsing. And I think most of you get it. Most of you agree based on the comments, but I'm sure there's still those that are holding out hope that it's another one of them speed bumps, and we've just had a lot of them, and we'll get through it and things will get back to normal eventually. You can go ahead and keep hoping for that if you want, but don't let your hope hold you back from preparing yourselves. There's now officially been over 100 lost souls on Maui. They said they haven't even searched 30% of the fire area. So, there's bound to be many, many more found because of that. And, more and more suspicious things coming out from that fire, how it actually started. Why is it that, all of a sudden the state of Hawaii is going to want to, take all that land and do something with it. There's all kinds of stuff. Trump is now looking at, if convicted of all the many charges, something like over 750 years in prison. Now, I know many of you, regardless of what you think of him, you're probably saying there's no possible way. It's just a big show, and it's a big show either way. But it's a lot of corruption too. An immense amount of corruption. So the likelihood at this point that something sticks, it's probably becoming more likely. You throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, and that's what they're doing. And it's insane. Like I said, even if you're in the crowd that you don't really care for him, you're certainly not liberal, you just don't care for him, doesn't matter at this point. This is insanity. Russia has officially launched their CBDC, and the American economy is just, along with China and the rest of the world, several nations have gone into a recession. Here in America, we want to keep believing that it's not a recession yet, even though food prices are up almost 25% average since the start of the pandemic. Some food items are up over 100% in that 3-year time period. Lots of warnings about banks on the verge of collapse. We've had some very, very large ones this year, but now we're talking in the multiples, in the dozens of major banks, including some of the biggest banks, are starting to look pretty bad. Housing costs up, wages kind of falling flat. Nothing looks good right now, unless you're in the market to buy some gold and silver. That's actually down just a little bit, not an extreme amount, but gold and silver prices are down a little bit. If you're trying to buy some and you don't know where to get your gold and silver from, I'll leave a link in the description below. It's a company I've used numerous times and have always had success with them, very fast shipping, and I'm very pleased with my order. So there'll be a link down there below if you're trying to find a good place online to buy it. The point is, though, with all this is that we're experiencing a catastrophic failure. We've pushed this fiat, fake, immoral, greedy system, corrupt system till its full extent, I believe. And for those of you that have a little age under your belt, it honestly shouldn't be that surprising. You know, for years, for decades. You know, I'm 45. Some of you think I'm a young whippersnapper, and some of you think I'm an old fogey. It's, you know, all about perspective. But, you know, I can remember 20 plus years ago, even 30 years ago, hearing all the complaints of government corruption and government overspending and debt, and all of that all the stuff that's happening right now was complained about when I was a young person. And I know it was complained about before I even existed. So it's not new. It's not some kind of, you know, shocking revelation that, oh my goodness, you mean our country overspends and goes into ridiculous amounts of debt and is corrupt and immoral? What? Never heard of such a thing. We all know this. It's not surprising. So stop acting like it is. We also know that when things get really bad, when there are catastrophes, or if there is, and it's not really if anymore, when there is a collapse, you're not going to be able to depend upon the government to handle it. You know, they can't handle responding properly to things like the fire in Hawaii or Katrina or many other disasters. Do you think they're going to be able to respond to a nationwide disaster? The grid goes down, banks shut down. Do you think they're going to be able to respond to that? Of course not. Absolutely not. These things should not be shocking to us. I said that the other day. Oh, I said it the opposite. I said we should be shocked that our country is going the way it is. And what I meant by that is that we should be shocked because we've allowed it. I can't believe that we've allowed it. We know that it's happening. We've been watching it happen for decades now. But what have we done about it? What have the people done about it? We've elected the same people over and over and over again into office. Maybe not you, but the people have. I think we've come to the point that, you know, we've gotten the government we deserve. We've gotten the country that we deserve. We've gotten the economy that we deserve. If you look at the numbers, you know, we complain about the government debt, you know, being over $33 trillion and all this kind of stuff. Well, personal American debt is over $17 trillion. So it looks like that the American people aren't really much better off than the government. You know, we go into ridiculous amounts of debt that we can't afford and that we have no business going into, so that we can get a new car and a better house and a nicer TV. It's just the results of a people that have lost their way. And that's really where we're at. We all know in our hearts what's right and wrong. We know what we should and shouldn't be doing. And yet too many times, even the best of us end up doing the wrong thing. And I think that's a big part of my motivation, is that the right people need to stop doing the wrong thing. The right people need to start doing the right thing. We need to start realizing that the lifestyle that this nation, that our culture has been headed down, is not the right one. And while many of us try to not follow that path completely, we've probably followed it too much. We need to have a wake-up call. We need to kind of realize that we have indulged ourselves too much into this wicked and immoral and corrupt world. We've benefited too much from it. And for the most of us, even though we don't agree with it, we're probably guilty parties in it somehow. And we need to realize that and change our ways, get ourselves ready. Stop being part of this system. Step outside of it. Abandon ship, whatever you want to say. Because it's all coming down, folks. We're watching it. We don't know which one thing is going to happen. Had a naysayer the other day saying that, nothing's bad's going to happen most likely. Well, in just a couple of more months, the seas will be in a, rougher seas over in Taiwan Strait. And so it's unlikely that China would invade Taiwan until next year. So see, it's going to be great. I'm like, that's one of maybe 2 or 3 dozen potential things that's happening right now. And just because China might not invade Taiwan for another year or so, certainly doesn't mean that we're not experiencing really rough times. You see, that's the big thing that we miss so much because we're so inundated with everything, is that there's so many things going on. There's so much stuff, just kind of like all the Trump indictments. They're throwing so much stuff at the wall just to see what's going to stick. There's so many things happening. That is a sign of a collapse. When there's so much stuff going on and it becomes overwhelming and confusing, that's a sign of a collapse. And we have to realize that. We have to realize that in just about every possible way, we're watching this country and this world fall apart. I mean, according to NASA, last month was the hottest month on record, even though we've only been keeping records for about a century. And NASA is always so trustworthy. The point is that there's so much going on, and a lot of it's bad. And you know that. And you've known this for years. You're not a fool. And quit trying to forget things and trying to purposely glaze over and say, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it's not an economic collapse. Maybe it's not another pandemic. Maybe it's not, some spreading of some disease in Florida right after they released millions of genetically modified mosquitoes. Maybe it's not something like that. Quit kidding yourself. Because there's so much going on. Even if the one thing you're thinking of doesn't happen, the odds of a bunch of others, that's getting pretty good. We've known this for a long time, folks. We've known how bad things are. It's not surprising. It shouldn't be a big surprise to you that going into debt tens of trillions of dollars is unsustainable. It shouldn't be a big surprise to you that going around the world trying to be the policeman for the entire planet, propping up corrupt governments and sending our weapons all over the world so that we can start little clashes between nations is unsustainable. They shouldn't have to tell you that continually electing politicians that have none of your interests at heart. They couldn't care less about you. They're only there to make money and feed you a bunch of lies. But they're the popular ones, so we elect them over and over again, is unsustainable. And I don't know what to tell you. I shouldn't even have to say it, but walking away from God, from biblical truths and his moral standards, it's unsustainable. shouldn't have to say that. We know these things are falling apart. And I think for most of you, it's not about the knowing, it's about the what to do now. Well, it's a lot of work, especially if you're just getting started. But you can do it every day. Set goals for yourself to become a little bit more prepared. Get your body a little bit more in shape. Stock up on a few more items. Develop some skills that will help make you more self-sufficient. Learn how to grow food, how to take that food and preserve it and process it for your own long-term storage. Learn how to take care of wounds and injuries and illnesses. Teach your children on your own, not through some school system. Band together with other people of like mind and come up with a plan. It's simple and difficult all in the same thing. You need to be getting ready, folks. Getting your houses in order, because if you don't see it, this whole world around us is really starting to fall apart. And we don't know how much time we have left before it's too late to even get ready. But I'd say that day is closing in on us faster than we know it. Prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.